Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Doing another live stream. It's been a little while. Uh, had some things to deal with. We'll talk about that later in the stream. I see Where Pilgrims in the chat already. What's up? Good to see you back. I have a couple things to set up before I get into this story. Give me 1 second. I'm not sure how many people are going to catch this one live because this was really random. Almost 1 a.m. stream on a Tuesday, technically Wednesday. Give me 1 second. While you're here and we're getting ready for this to do the story, if you can share the live stream on social media, invite more people in. I think it's going to be an interesting conversation. Love to hear from the audience, as always. So, I'm just working on a couple things behind the scenes before I get into the story. So, just give me a minute. Like I always say, one man band here. Doing it all by myself. Uh, all right. I just want to share this to Twitter. Actually, can some of you all just share it on Twitter? I don't have my headphones. Don't need them. Ooh, damn. So apparently the can you guys let me know in the chat how the video is playing for you all, if it's buffering or anything like that? Because apparently the signal's not that great. I was having issues connect. Oh, well, it apparently improved. Okay, so Unknown Space Pioneer, what's up? Good to see you back in the chat. Paul Eisenberg, after finding out Bill Gates inherited millions, and his mom was friends with chairman of IBM, who basically handed Gates their operating system. The fact that he didn't graduate high school is far less impressive. They always painted him as this self-made genius. Yeah, he is not some self-made genius. He's just a very rich, very well-connected person who controls a lot of things. Bill Bradley says Bill Gates is building a nuclear plant with Warren Buffett in Wyoming. I this is the first I'm hearing of that. It does not sound like something Bill Gates wouldn't do. If you, if anybody's been following Bill Gates for a little while, he has his hands in a lot of different things, which I'm going to get into some of them in this great piece of investigative journalism by Mid Press News. But yeah, Bill Gates is from health to education. He's buying up a bunch of farmland here in the United States. I think he owns more farmland than anybody else in the country at this point. Yeah, Bill Gates is definitely trying to rival for Jeff Bezos for emperor, god, king, oligarch of the United States. Give me some water. Oh, I guess before I get into the story, I have some thank yous to hand out or to give. Just give me 1 second, actually. All right, y'all. So we're going to get into the story, but first, I have some very sincere thank yous. So it's been a little while since I was live. I was last live. I did the General Strike Summit with Fred Hampton Leftist. It was a great 3 day event. I was on 2 of those days. The first day I was on for like 6 hours straight. Great conversations all the way around. But after the summit, there was some. I asked beforehand that the audience, because I needed help paying for the hotel room so that I can have a place to set up studio and be part of those panels and be part of Jordan Harlan's media, which I did the day after the summit. But I needed the help from the audiences I have over the last few months, and I had to get the hotel room for those days. And at the end of it, there was some technical issues with some of the donations that I received. I wasn't able to process them. They actually got refunded, and because of that, my account was overdrafted. So I was in a very shitty situation. As I've talked about, I've basically put basically everything I have into keeping the show going, despite not having a place to stay over the last few months, and it's been. I might come out here and make it look easy, but it's been very difficult. And at the time, after the summit, my account was overdrafted like $100, and I just made a post on Twitter, asked for anybody could help support the show, help me pay the at least get my account balance out of the negative. And so many people helped and contributed because they support the work that I do, and they wanted to make sure that I can keep doing it. So I'm incredibly grateful for all the people who shared that post on Twitter, and the people who've contributed through GoFundMe and Cash App and PayPal in all those ways. Uh, I can't say how grateful I am because I definitely could not be able to, I would not be able to do it without you all. So that being said, I'm going to get into this story, and I do think this is an important story. And have some chat with the audience afterwards about the story, about anything else you want to talk about. But yeah, so give me 1 second. Let me get some water because I'm still thirsty. All right. So, and if you wanted to help support the show, the links to PayPal in the description box. All the links are in the description box right underneath this video. PayPal, if you want to do one-time contribution. We have links to Patreon. We have links. So if you want to sign up and help support the show monthly, links to Cash App, all those things are in the description box. There's also a link to Cash App pinned in the live chat. Decent amount of people in, which is pretty cool. It's like I said, just a random live stream at 11. I mean at 1 a.m. Eastern time. Zani too, glad to see you in the chat. Yes, glad to see you in the live stream. Abolish Politician says, I'm too bored to help right now, but thank you for doing this work. No problem. I'm glad you can enjoy. That's why I always, it's big for me to make my content free so that anybody can access it, whether you have the money to do it, to pay for it or not. I hate paywalls. I'm not a fan of them myself, but that's just me. So I appreciate you showing up. Even that helps. And so yeah, we're gonna get into this story. Just make sure I have it all set up first. All right, so one of the things that I talk about a lot on this show is the corporate capture of the news media and how it has had nothing but harmful effects on this country. Because what ends up happening is the people with the most money and the most power and the most influence end up buying up or buying influence with the news media and shaping the coverage, which and they turn it into something which is the exact opposite of what news is supposed to be. The news media is supposed to be a check on the powerful, and when you allow them to own you, well, then you're just doing propaganda for the powerful. And again, that's not what journalism is supposed to be about. That's not what the news is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about challenging power on behalf of regular people. So we've talked about manufacturing consent, that idea, and many other similar summaries of the corporate capture. We've talked about the effects of Bill Clinton's Telecommunications Act and how it consolidated media. So now only a handful of corporations and billionaires control basically all the content that you have access to. I believe it's 7 different corporations control all of the TV stations, all the magazines, all the newspapers, all the yeah, all the places that you consume media is controlled by 7 different companies. So today we're going to be going over an investigative piece done by journalists at Mint Press News, and they did a lot of work going through some of the following the money from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and their charitable contributions that they've provided to media outlets. And the numbers are just mind blowing. They're outrageous, and it's clear what they're doing here because there's no way you're spending this amount of money at these to fund these news organizations, these outlets, and it doesn't affect the coverage that you're getting. And in the case of Bill Gates, it's really bad because of course he's a billionaire and he has his own business interests all throughout many different industries, and he's a crucial player in the direction of a lot of important policy in the country and around the world. He does a lot of work in education and in public health. He's been made huge investments in the COVID vaccines and is profiting from them also. So his work that he does deserves scrutiny as much, if not more than anybody else. So the fact that he spent, as the title suggests, over $300 million buying favorable coverage among these media outlets is definitely concerning. So I have some screenshots from the I have some screenshots from the Mint Press News articles that I'm going to go over with you all here right now. Let me just get the first one up. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to get it so that I can read it too, because it's pretty small on my screen. All right, so here's what this first screenshot from the article says. Quote, while other billionaires' media empires are relatively well known, the extent to which Gates's cash underwrites the modern media landscape is not. After sorting through over 30,000 individual grants, Mint Press can reveal that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, BMGF, has made over $300 million worth of donations to fund media projects. Recipients of the cash include many of America's most important news outlets, including CNN, NBC, NPR, PBS, and The Atlantic. Gates also sponsors a myriad of influential foreign organizations, including BBC, The Guardian, the Financial Times, the Daily Telegraph in the United Kingdom, prominent European newspapers such as Le Monde in France, and Der Spiegel in Germany, and El País in Spain, as well as big global broadcasters like Al Jazeera. So again, so before I get any further into and right underneath this is they list some of the recipients, the direct recipients of cash from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and the numbers are just outrageous. Let me get that slide up for you all. All right, so here's some of the outlets that they directly funded. $24 million to NPR. $24 million. And mind you, I want you to keep in mind during this entire conversation, we're just talking about one billionaire. There are multiple billionaires, over 100 billionaires, and it's safe to assume that they're all influencing media. Maybe not to the exact extent that Bill Gates is doing with his foundation, but they all have their money deeply invested in the media. One perfect example is none other than Jeff Bezos, probably one of the richest men on the planet, spent $300 million to buy the Washington Post, one of the largest and most respected newspapers in the country. I mean, it's not most respected among people who actually follow the news, but you know what I mean. And so again, that's just a billionaire just flat out buying one of the supposed to be the one of the most objective sources of news in the country to just do his propaganda. And Bill Gates spent $24 million on to directly fund NPR. Tell me, do you think that NPR is going to do anything outside of what Bill Gates wants them to publish? And again, so it's yet these are just more reasons why people are skeptical of the news media. So like I said, $24 million to NPR. You might as well just fucking buy. He might as well own NPR at this point. $24 million to NPR. The Guardian, $12 million, almost $13 million, $12.9 million to the Guardian. Univision, $5.9 million, basically $6 million. NBC Universal, $4.3 million. BBC. Oh, sorry. I have to go to the next slide for you all. BBC $3.6 million, CNN $3.6 million. So the Atlantic $1.4 million. So you guys get the gist here. And again, these are just news outlets that they've directly funded. And it's just funny to me. So there's another slide I want to share with you all from the article. Oh no, it's not that. Sorry, give me 1 second. Yeah, I think it's this one. Okay. And before I get further into this, so they like to act like these are charitable contributions, and oh, they're just giving it away to charity because oh, the media is so important, and oh, isn't it so great? We have to fund the news because journalism is the key to democracy and all that shit. So a lot of the things that he says are charitable donations are really just ways to control the narrative and control the conversation around any given topic, and paint it in a way that's favorable to him and the other investments that he has. So he's spending all this money with news outlets. It's not just so that they do hard hitting investigative journalism on corporate greed and corporate power. He's doing it because now they're going to cover the shit that that he tells them to, the shit that he's also a part of. Like, for example, the vaccine that he's been pushing, that he's invested over $2 billion of his own money into, and he's going out there doing his pro-vaccine propaganda. You can give all this money to media outlets and say, "Oh, these are charitable contributions," but also you have to talk about the vaccine. Is it really a charitable contribution, or are you just bigging up your own investments to get your money back? So one of the another funny trick that a lot of these billionaires like to do, and this article shed light on, which is they use these charitable contributions as a smokescreen for what they're actually using their money on, which is incredibly nefarious shit to try to shape society in a way that benefits them above anybody else. So let me go into this next piece right here. And by the way, so all the donations that was given directly to media outlets total over $166 million from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And they they also gave a bunch of money to charities that were tied to these media corporations. For example, BBC's Media Action, they donated $53 million to BBC Media Action. Again, so whatever Bill Gates says goes at the BBC. And nobody's going to challenge him because $53 million that is going to fund the network is on the line. So he can go out and spread whatever misinformation he wants, as he does regularly, but don't expect any pushback because, like I said, $53 million are on the line. So here it says Gates continues to underwrite a wide network of investigative journalism centers as well, totaling over $38 million, more than half of which has gone to DC-based International Center for Journalists to expand and develop African media. And this is worth pointing out because, like I said, so he funds media in areas, particularly in areas that he's directly involved in, and he has a lot of work that he's doing in Africa, a lot of public health works and vaccine programs that he has in Africa, and so the media skeptically covering or critically covering what a billionaire is doing with creating his own private public health network throughout Africa, instead of covering it critically, Bill Gates is going to fund the the developing journalism apparatus in Africa to the tune of almost $40 million. So that way you don't have to wonder, or there isn't a question about whether or not they're going to cover his efforts and his works in the area critically. You know, once you put down that money and bought basically the entire industry in that area, they're going to report the way that you want to report. The media outlet's going to operate in a way that's most convenient to Bill Gates and his agenda. And here's a list. The International Center for Journalists, $20 million from Bill Gates, and a bunch of other different centers. The Pulitzer Center for Crisis Reporting, $2.4 million. Institute for Nonprofit News, $650,000. So again, and all of this money, it's like water off a duck's back. It means absolutely nothing to Bill Gates. It doesn't make a dent in his fortunes at all, and it's going to be turned around and make him even more money. So it's and this is why it's just inherently dangerous and destabilizing to even have billionaires existing, because they have the power to literally shape reality and control entire necessary sectors of what's supposed to be public services like the media or public health institutions. And like I said, without even breaking a sweat, just with the endless amounts of cash that they have, they literally get to reshape the world or reshape a country in a way that benefits them. So just like I said, it's just one of the many arguments against why billionaires should even exist, because you have these individuals who oftentimes have more power, more influence, more sway over the direction of the world than entire countries do. And that is just fucking dangerous. So I just have a couple more things to share with you from the article. All right, so this part's pretty important because it gets into, like I was speaking about before, how fund they directly fund specific issues. Oh wait, is this the slide that I'm on? Sorry, it's hard to read. Okay, specific media campaigns. So it says the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation also pays for a wide range of specific media campaigns around the world. For example, since 2014, it has donated $5.7 million to the Population Foundation of India in order to create dramas that promote sexual and reproductive health, with the intent to increase family planning methods in South Asia. Meanwhile, it allotted over $3.5 million to Senegalese organization to develop radio shows and online content that would feature health information. Supporters consider this to be helping critically underfunded media, while proponents might consider it a case of a billionaire using his money to plant his ideas and opinions into the press. Bill Gates is also one of those people pushing the idea that the overpopulation is should be like something that is directly targeted as like a problem to the survival of the planet, and he makes it seem as if that's a bigger issue than the corporations and the military industrial complex, like as if that's a bigger plays a bigger role in the untenable, the unsustainability of our society. So that's what his one of his personal positions is, and as is pointed out here, he we will fund media to the tunes of millions of dollars, to promote that agenda throughout Southeast Asia, where they do have a very large population. So, and these are just some examples of some of the centers that he's given money to promote specific agendas. The European Journalism Center, $20 million. World University Service of Canada, $12.7 million. Again, and this is money coming from one fucking guy, one billionaire, just throwing around this money. Harvard University, 1.1 million dollars. Let me see. There was another. Well, and I'm not going to go into the other screenshots. I think you guys get the idea. But there was also they had data on some of the journalism schools that Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation funds. So not only are they funding the journalists and the journalism organizations. Oh, actually, these next two slides are really important, and I probably should show you guys. But so one of the next things I want to show you is so they also fund oops. They also fund excuse me, I don't know why I'm blanking on it just now. I just saw it. Oh, so they also fund research papers. And the thing with these research papers, they aren't necessarily as widespread to the public, but these research papers are funded by Bill Gates for issues that he's directly involved in to give this veneer of professionalism and like these were approved by serious scientists and whatever, and then they circulate these research papers among all these mainstream media outlets, and then that becomes a topic of discussion. And you guys would see it a lot with headlines or stories like new study shows vaccine does this and this. A lot of times it will be a study that Bill Gates or research papers that Bill Gates funds. In this article, it also shows that he spent like $20 million funding the Lancet, which is this scientific journal, a journal that's published research on related to COVID. So again, like every way you can influence the process of journalism, he's doing it. So he literally from at every step of the way he's has his hands in how important and consequential issues are covered. And again, this isn't just some random person. This is a billionaire with endless conflicts of interest, and he's the coverage in a way that's beneficial to his agenda. And one more thing that I wanted to oh, this is an important slide that I should get into. So it says a case in point is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's partnership with Viacom CBS, a company that Time noted that the Gates Foundation was playing. Sorry, give me 1 second. Media reports at the time noted that the Gates Foundation was paying the entertainment giant to insert information and PSAs into programming, and that Gates had intervened to change storylines in popular shows like ER and Law and Order SVU. So, and it says, however, when checking Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's grant database, Viacom and CBS were nowhere to be found. The likely grant in question, totaling over $6 million, merely describing the project as, quote, public engagement campaigns aimed at improving high school graduation rates and post-secondary completion rates, specifically aimed at parents and students, meaning that it was not counted in the official total. So again, $6 million into Viacom CBS to literally change the content of shows in a way that pushes whatever propaganda that Bill Gates is approves of at that moment. So again, it's yes, you have the implicit bias of it all of the only people who get into certain positions in mainstream media are people who would be who don't stray too far from whatever the line is from the billionaire millionaire class. So those people who don't rock the boat and people who don't ask questions and people who don't challenge power, yes, they'd be the ones who get into certain positions in the news media. But what's also is incredibly clear through this report is that they will just directly tell you what to cover. Like they would give the big technically like earmarks for these media companies. Oh, we'll give you $10 million if you use this to cover public health or whatever it is, and literally directly telling them what to do. And then, as it said right there in that last quote, they literally got to change the storylines of huge shows like ER and Law and Order SVU so that he could insert his propaganda into it. That's incredible. That's incredible. And there was one more quote I think was very important to share with you all. I guess this stream ended real quick. Looks like we're back. Uh, but it's almost career suicide for journalism to actually do journalism and investigate one of the most powerful billionaires on the planet, one of the richest people on the planet, tech oligarch, somebody who has billions of dollars invested into public health and these vaccines, somebody who owns more farmland in the United States than anybody else, somebody who has their hands all over education. It's become career suicide to do anything that challenges him. And again, one thing that I wanted you all to keep in mind is this is just a look into how 1 billion, and when you add in Mike Bloomberg and Jeff Bezos and all these people who also have incredible influence over the media, it is not. The point I'm trying to make is it's not like my perspective, it's not my opinion that a lot of journalists don't want to challenge these people or won't ever do investigative pieces. It is a fact at this point that with all the influence and that they've bought with their endless amount of money, it is career suicide for anybody to investigate them. So we have a media that is just a bunch of kabuki theater and everybody running around pretending like they're serious journalism, but all of the important work that they should be doing is just completely off limits, and they're never going to touch it because it affects their sources of funding. So yes, there's the how do I the fact that a lot of these people are who become journalists, especially the most prominent journalists, are part of the elite class and part of polite society, and so they have their own biases in that way. Yes, that's true, and there's a certain filter through the hiring process, but that also is just directly they know what lines not to cross because they can see where the money comes from, and they don't want to rock the boat. So, interested in seeing what the chat has to say about this. Where Pilgrim says Gates has always been a rapacious businessman. He almost cleaned his image. He almost cleaned his image up with the philanthropic stuff, but his wickedness keeps oozing out. LOL. Bill Bradley said Bezos straight up bought his own media company at Washington Post. Yeah. And Bill Gates has been a lot more secretive and behind the scenes and like, oh, it's just charity, guys. Hey, we're not buying a media outlet. That'd be fucking crazy. Clearly, we'd be doing propaganda there. We're just going to give $20 million to the BBC. We're going to just give $20 million to NPR, just for charity. We're just doing it for charity. Nothing to see here. Don't look any further. Zanitu says the greatest words in that article are quote $300 million in donations, meaning not only did Gates buy positive news coverage, he actually got a tax break for doing it. Yes, that's another thing. So the way that the tax system is set up, and this is a lot of what these billionaires do to just keep perpetually making money. So he's like I mentioned, this isn't just charity. He's doing this to advance his own agenda and the agenda of his investments, and painting them in a favorable way so that he can continue to cash in on them. So this is basically a business expense that he gets to write off as charity. Yeah. But Whale Pilgrim says, I remember that the Gates Foundation sponsored a show called The Teaching Channel a few years back. It was pushing Common Core. It aired on PBS stations, but wasn't produced by PBS. Yeah. I'm sure there's so many things like that that might be hard to find now, but they were definitely funding to do their own propaganda. Paul Eisenberg says, and I'm not sure about this, I can't confirm it off the top of my head. Says season 10, episode 5 of Law and Order SVU was paid message placement from Gates Foundation. It was about a doctor who didn't believe in HIV causing AIDS and dies because of it. Eisenberg continues, also, a kid gets treatment his parents don't approve of, but he gets better and they are thankful for the treatment. Bill. Sorry, did not mean to insult you that way, Bill Bradley. Bill Bradley says this is CIA tactics, plant stories in small region sources that get picked up by the AP and spread. He is buying the parts to build a ground up propaganda machine. Shady. Yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. That's exactly what he's doing. I see Noli D's in the chat. So I'm not sure what you all wanted to talk about. If there's anything you guys want to have a conversation about, the chat is open as for the time being. If you guys want to help contribute, links are in the description box. Cash App, PayPal, GoFundMe, all those things. All the things are there. Oh, I have something that I wanted to ask you guys. Do any of you all have any hobbies, anything that you do outside of politics? Or it might be directed like kind of connected to politics. Any hobbies that you all do? I'm interested. Ozzy says tennis. Okay, a sport. That's cool too. Abolish politician says robots. I'm not sure exactly what that means. If you could elaborate, that'd be appreciated. Tracy says music. I'm with you on that. I should get back to that in a second. Oh, the Zani too. I'm glad you brought that up. I'll go back to that. Abolish partition says I'm learning to grow. It's fun and super useful. I think that's really cool. I There are some people, my grandmother, some people in my family who are growers, the or farmers, whatever you want to call it. Not even farmers, but they're good at growing food, and I always thought that was pretty cool, and definitely useful. My grandma, she's grown all kinds of stuff like tomatoes and peppers and peas and fruits, all kinds of stuff. I always think it's cool, especially in a failed state. If you have that useful tool. Okay, so I'm seeing another thing about protests, and I'll get to that too. RJ Ramrod says I should be a VTuber. I have no idea what that is. If you could elaborate, maybe I could be one. uh, but Tracy says music is the key. I agree with that. I've always loved music. It's been like there have always been things that I would like obsess about throughout my life. Different random topics. Music has definitely been one of the most consistent. Also, I love like animals and nature and stuff like that. Obviously, I love politics, but I would say music is up there with for me as like one of my biggest like obsessions and things that I love to do. But I've never and it's mostly been listening to music. I listen to all different kinds of music, and I don't listen to music like at least I don't think I listen to music like a regular person. Like I'm very into it, and it's just something I cannot describe. And recently, I've decided that I wanted to do it more, like actually perform. I think that'd be a really cool thing for me to do. That's something like different from like this, and it's not like it's an either or thing with the show, but I think it's a very good thing for me to have music in my life because and by the way, this is completely it has nothing to do with like the normal topics. You're just shooting the shit in the live chat. I think it's important for me to have something like that to keep some sort of balance because doing the show sometimes I can get like very much into it and like it's like all I do and with music I feel like it kind of it's like a it keeps a healthy balance for me. So I'm definitely and it's a good it's I love it everything about it and I also think it helps like process things that are like going on in my life in the moment. So I definitely will I definitely want to do more with music. I sing technically. I want to learn how to play the guitar so I can write music. Um, yeah, I wonder what kind of music you all listen to. Tracy says you're sending Stevie Wonder vibes. Uh, might be the glasses or the voice. I do like Stevie Wonder. That's definitely the kind of music, some of the music that was played when I was growing up. And some of his songs are vocally good for me to sing, are a good match for my voice. So I appreciate that. I'm giving Stevie Wonder vibes, I guess. Unknown Space Pioneer says, I like electronic music, black metal, new age. Uh, Sold my sins to move back home from New Mexico and haven't gotten back into it. That is interesting. You have any? So were you in a band or did you perform? Do you have any favorite bands? Unknown Space Pioneer. I think I will learn to play the flute soon. That's interesting. Oh, I was actually decent. I used to like there used to be like random music classes when I was in school, like elementary school, middle school. I would take. I was pretty decent at the flute, recorder, whatever. RJ Ramrod says a good example of what a VTuber is. Check out Fiersona's channel. She's a VTuber who does true crime streams where she details like missing persons cases, unsolved murders, etc. Oh, I've heard about people doing content like that. I had no idea what it was called. Fiersonas. Let me try to write that down somewhere. Uh, Paul Eisenberg says, "I like my coffee black, just like my metal." And so we have a lot of metal fans in the audience, which is interesting. Troy C says, "Bach to Monk to Osric tentacles." Bill Bradley says they used to call it classic rock, but I suppose at this point it is the oldies like '60s rock music, the music of my father. But I still enjoy the rebellious nature of it. I feel you. I like classic rock too. '60s rock. I'm trying to think. '60s. If you throw out some names, but right now I'm just blanking. '60s. Who's making music in the '60s? Well, I could think of like Aretha Franklin and was that the '60s or '70s? Like Patti LaBelle. That might have been like the '70s. I'm trying to think of rock bands in the '60s. Oh, Queen. Noli D says, "Bet the blues is where I feel at home." Love Lucille Bogan. Uh, I definitely respect the blues. They're definitely a lot of my favorite artists have been influenced by like blues and jazz and stuff like that.